Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of SetSchedule's Meet the Agent podcast. My name is Alan Perez, your host, and today I'm joined by Alma Black. Now, Alma is an expert realtor out in the New York State. Alma specifically covers the Westchester, Bronx, Long Island, and Queens counties areas. Alma, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you doing today? And could you share your background and how it was that you got started in real estate?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I've been in real estate actively since 2016.
Okay, great. And to give a little bit of background, I mean, something that you were mentioning is that starting off, real estate wasn't actually your first kind of industry that you were working. You mentioned that you had been working a different job previously, and then you started out doing real estate part time. Could you give us some insight into the way that you planned for that? How were you able to successfully go to do real estate full time?
Well, I was working with a company, it was a chemical consulting company in White Plains, New York, as a desktop publisher. I dealt with lots of large editing and formatting large documents. And my expertise was word processing, um, PowerPoint, Excel. So we had, large documents that we had to sometimes, uh, put pictures in or Excel sheets in, and and that's basically what I did. Worked on very large documents, um, formatted them, make them look pretty, and edited them for good grammar and spelling and stuff like that for the consultants. And that's basically what I did.
Okay. And so thank you for providing that first insight. Something that we always find very interesting is where real estate agents, especially successful ones like yourself, kind of get their start from. And so, based on the fact that you mentioned that um, it was kind of more of a tech-oriented organization, right? Or rather, your day-to-day responsibilities were more tech-oriented, right? Formatting documents, doing different things along those lines. It makes sense that helped you or helps you now currently in real estate. Out of curiosity, so how did you hear about real estate while you were working that first primary career, and what really pushed you to become a realtor from there?
Well, at the time, my my understanding of I liked real estate because I liked making money, and I like people. I like working with people. I like fulfilling their dreams to um, purchase a new home, and I I worked with Central 21 before I joined Charles Rutenberg Realty. And like I said before, I was not very active then, but when I joined Charles Rutenberg Realty, that's when I started really taking it seriously and working it on a full-time basis. But my background in computer has helped me to navigate through different things that I have to do with my company now, because we have to basically do things on our own. We get a lot of training, but my knowledge of computer from back then has helped me a lot with what I have to do now. Like, we have an agent platform where we have to upload rather all our documents for a closing. And it gave me a better understanding. The fact that I had that knowledge in computer before, it wasn't very difficult for me to learn or to grasp.
Okay, great. And so, I mean, on that topic of uh, brokerage selection, right? Because like you mentioned, you were with Century 21 before. Currently, now you're with Charles Rutenberg Realty. Do you have any advice, or what was the approach that you took in order to find the right brokerage for you? Because like you mentioned, they're giving you extensive amounts of training, which is awesome. But we do also know that there are other brokerages that maybe don't offer that same kind of training. So Yeah, could you explain how you were able to select and find the right broker for you?
Actually, someone recommended George Rattenberg to me. And when I joined and, went for the interview and they accepted me as a realtor, they've done a lot of training. And where I was before with Central 21, all we had to do was get the deal and the secretary did everything. We didn't do anything, basically. So with Charles Ruttenberg, they train us. They allow us to do our transactions on our own. And if we need help, we could always call on someone to help us. There's always someone who's ready, willing, and able to help us do our transactions. But we're taught to be hands-on with our transactions, so we're not lost. Because when I joined Charles Ruttenberg, I didn't really know much because I wasn't given the opportunity with the previous company that I was under to do these things. So by working with Charles Ruttenberg, I've been able to upgrade my skills. And like I said before, they do a lot of training, and their commission is way different from the other brokerages that I have. I've only experienced two brokerages, as a matter of fact. And their commission that's one of the things that made me really wanted to join Charles Ruttenberg, was that their commission was like 100%.
Oh wow, really? Is that after cap, before cap, or how does that work? Do they have like a cap number where after a certain number of transactions that you bring in that it's 100% transact or?
Out of each transaction, they take a certain amount, and it's not much. It's like it depends. If it's a commercial, then if it's a commercial transaction where you sell a commercial property, they will do more than a residential. But whereas other offices, other brokerages, right off the bat, they take 50% for the office, and then the other 50% is shared amongst either two or three other people. With Charles Ruttenberg, you get all of your commission. They do errors and commissions. No, errors and emissions. I'm sorry, errors and emissions. That the only time you pay that is if you do a transaction. Other offices, I think you have to pay it every month, regardless. With Charles Ruttenberg, you pay the errors and emissions fees only when you do a transaction, when you complete a transaction. There's an upfront payment at the beginning of the year or some, like that, but you don't have to do that payment every month like other offices require. You only have to pay that if you do a transaction.
Awesome. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, as much as we talk about, or especially for myself, right, talking to different real estate agents, different professionals, at the end of the day, what you really need to find is that kind of process or that structure, the people that you can rely on to help you get to that next level. So certain brokerages, right, where they maybe don't give as much support, they can make sense for different realtors at maybe different stages of their career. And so thank you for providing the insight on that. Now, we just went over the basics, right? A kind of broker selection and really starting to get a hang of things. When you were still in that transition period, when you were still doing real estate part time, what did you do in order to begin growing your pipeline, or kind of to set your foundation and make sure that you would start to generate those transactions later on?
Well, for the most part, I have been, paying for lead programs that like SetSchedule, where they send me leads and I work on the leads. Some work out, some don't. But that's basic. I do marketing, like send out flyers and stuff like that. But when the pandemic started, we couldn't really do anything of that sort. We couldn't do cold calling, and we still can't do cold calling because there's a state of emergency in New York right now, where we're still not able to do cold calling, but we're able to at least put door hangers on people's doors. We're able to send out, put mail, postcards in people's mailboxes and stuff like that. But that's the extent to my marketing that I have done so far. Charles Rottenberg has other training that they're going to be teaching us how to better market ourselves. And that's one of the good things about them. They really believe in training the agents.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and it pays dividends in the future, right? If you're able to get a reputation, right, for being able to empower agents and not really over encumber them or charge them too much, right, for the structures and the fees, then it makes sense. And so it sounds like a very good brokerage, and it sounds like they've enabled you to do amazing work. Something that you mentioned that I wasn't familiar with, I didn't realize that the state of New York was still in a state of emergency. Could you share a little bit on that?
Yeah, they're still in this. I think it ends on the. I think if I'm not mistaken, it ends sometime this month, towards the end of the month. But right now, we're still in a state of emergency where it affects realtors. We cannot make cold calls. We can only call like FISBOs if we have a buyer who is interested in the property, but we cannot call them to solicit the listing.
Okay.
That's not allowed yet.
But like you mentioned, it is coming to an end, and it sounds like it's it's about time maybe. But at the same time, I guess it really is dependent on the infection rates and everything else that is going on out there. I know that in New York, it was one of the most heavily hit areas.
So right now, if you want to really market yourself, it's like sending out postcards, getting door hangers made up, and go from door to door and put it on people's doors. So it takes, which is a lot of work, but it's worth it afterwards, because at some point somebody wants to sell, and you hopefully will get a call from one of those people that you put hangers on their doorknobs. Postcards. We have someone in the office who, at our brokerage, is a marketing specialist or the marketing coordinator. He makes, our postcards for us if we want to. He's very, very good with that. So we basically, just tell him what we want, and he will do it for us, and just have to have it printed out and send it out. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't even have to do it ourselves if you're not computer savvy, if you're not, he'll do it for you. So we have all the help that we need in our brokerage to market ourselves.
I think that that's a really. I'm glad that we're diving into this topic a little bit more, because I think that that's one of the first questions that you should ask yourself as a real estate agent, right? Is, do I have the tools and resources available to me that I need to get to where I want to go? And like you were just mentioning, even with the different avenues for marketing, right? At Charles Rottenberg, you know that you have somebody that your marketing specialist, as you mentioned, that can help you get started with the different avenues, the different approaches, and really capitalize on them. And so, speaking on the topic of approaches, like you just mentioned, right, when the state of emergency went into effect and you realized that you weren't going to be able to cold call, that's where you maybe needed to start trying out different strategies. What is your door? So is it door hanging, or is it also door knocking? Like, do you go up to different doors and knock and also leave something, or can you not knock? What's that look like?
I don't know. I'm not sure that we're allowed to do door knocking, but we have the door hangers made up. And then we can go, before, when the pandemic just started, we couldn't do any of that at all. But now we can put the door hangers on the knob, on their doorknobs. We can put postcards in their mailboxes. And then there are other ways also. There are other ways also of sending out emails. You can do emails, but we can't knock on anybody's door, and we cannot call them.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, And so, I mean, I very much appreciate the fact that you have so many different avenues because, I mean, like you were just mentioning, right? You have to have so many different ways that you're trying to get it in front of people before they start reaching out to you, before they call you and say, hey, I am interested in buying or selling, or they start to refer you to other people. Um, I guess really quickly on that topic, right? That's kind of what makes real estate, in my opinion, so difficult, right? Because I don't have to prepare just for my transactions for this year, but I also need to kind of set the foundation so that I have some contacts and some leads, some prospects, so that I can make sure that I'll close them at some point next year, right? So that I can continue to kind of grow and feed my business. Um, what does your approach look like, Alma, for setting goals? Do you do that every quarter, every year? What does that look like for you? How do you know, for example, how many transactions you want to close this year?
Well, I usually um, set a goal of doing at least 20 transactions a year. Um, that's basically my goal. Because now the real estate market now is so difficult in that we don't have, first, for example, the fact that we cannot do cold calling anymore, or at this point, we can't do cold calling. We'll be able to do it maybe by the end of this month, but the inventory is very low. People are buying and they're making very high offers because they like the place or because of the interest rate. The interest rate at the moment is kind of low. So people are buying and they're making all these high offers. So when you have a customer who make an offer of, say, asking price, and that offer is turned down because someone else is offering way more. So the goal setting is kind of, you know, it's a numbers game. We have highest and best offers. And if your customer is not willing to go any higher, then you lose out. You know, you don't get a transaction completed. But I hope that it will change in a few months from now. It will change, but the market now is very, very difficult. And you have customers. I have customers who are looking, and I'm showing, and they make offers, and they make sensible offers. They're not making like very low offers. They're making sensible offers close to asking or um, over asking as well. But there are people out there who are even making higher offers. And how do you know how much to tell? Well, you really can't tell your customer how much to offer. You can only advise them, say, okay, offer close to asking or offer asking. Or if you want to offer over asking, fine, but you can't tell them a number. So when you get a call from another agent saying, oh, we got your customer's offer, but we have a higher offer, and you say to them, so what's the higher offer? They're not going to tell you. So you don't know really what to tell your customer, how much higher to go. And I've had situations where my customers get frustrated and they're like, okay, we'll wait until all this foolishness is over, because it's what they call it, foolishness, because they're not willing to be in a bidding war.
Like you were mentioning, I mean, the foolishness that is accompanying kind of the growth in offers and the scarcity of inventory. Do you foresee any sort of kind of immediate solution for that, or do you think that it's going to be just a matter of builders building more inventory? Or yeah, I mean, what do you think is a feasible way that kind of inventory difficulty or that situation can get resolved?
Well, I mean, if we're allowed to do cold calling, the inventory will definitely increase. And also, if we take the time and the effort to walk around the neighborhood and leave door hangers on those doors and to put postcards in their mailboxes, it takes work. It takes a lot of persistence and a lot of hard work in order to, you know, put yourself out there and to let people know that you are doing real estate, especially people in your own area, in your own where you live. So it has to do with hard work. You have to be willing to go out there and pound the pavement, basically.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, I mean, like you were mentioning, if there is still that restriction against calling, door knocking, right? At the end of the day, it sounds like what you're saying is that there does need to be turnover in that real estate agents need to be able to, or, sellers, right? People who own the property who could sell it need to be excited about the value that they could gain, right? And the only way that they can get that if they're not actively looking or not actively interested is for real estate agents like yourself to kind of suggest and say to them, well, look, this is how much your property is worth now, right? Or leaving those different flyers, or even just to ask them, right? So no, that's really good. It makes sense, and I mean, I'm looking forward to. I'm sure that you are too, right? Towards the end of the month when those rules are lifted there in New York. Um, awesome. So now we have talked about, and again, it's been a little bit lengthy, but that's kind of the effect that COVID has had, as well as the new interest rates and the just the market shifts have had in New York. Um, now, something that we also like to discuss here is alternate, well, not alternate, but I guess more tools, the efficient use of tools, right? The efficient use of resources, like we were mentioning, being able to get leads from your broker, being able to get specific kind of marketing done for your broker from your broker as well. Are there any tools that you've decided to use for your business? Any CRMs, any email or communication systems that are built into your process? If you could elaborate on that for us a little bit.
Because we were in a meeting with my office the other day, and somebody suggested that we um, give gifts to be in front of our customers at all times, be in their faces, by sending them gifts with our brand on it, a logo or a name. So they always see us in their kitchen, in their living room, wherever. So if they at some point have a real estate need, then they will reach out to us or to you, because you are there. You gave them a mug with your name and your company name on it, and they're drinking from that mug every day. So you're basically in their faces. And if they, at any time, like I said before, have a real estate need, they will definitely reach out to you. And like someone said also, that a lot of times agents do businesses with customers, and then when they're done with the transaction, it's like they're done with the customer. They don't interact with them after that. They don't call them to see how they're doing, send them birthday wishes, stuff like that you have to do in order to stay in there, so they can see you and remember you, that you're there. And they will reach out to you when they do have another real estate need, or they can refer you to someone, they can refer you to someone else.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I've heard is that more than one real estate agent that we've talked to have mentioned. I mean, exactly like you mentioned, right? Kind of being in their face or staying top of mind, right? Making sure that they know real estate. It's not a scary world. It's something that I can work in, that I can find investment properties, or maybe sell my property, or just know what the values are in my market. Um, and having that knowledge to say, well, Alma's the right agent for me, or Alma is someone that I should talk to about this, and that makes sense. Now, I guess on that same topic, right? Like you were mentioning, birthday wishes, or at the end of the day, cultivating a good, strong relationship with your clients. Do you have any suggestions, any tips or strategies that you use on how to build strong relationships with your client base so that they don't forget about you when they go and they transact again and they need to find a different another realtor, right, to make sure that they come to you?
Well, the first thing I think you should do to build a good rapport and not let them forget about you and while you're doing one particular transaction with them, make sure that you're always there. You always pick up your phone. You always they call you and you're there for them. You text them back if they text you. Call them back if they um, make a phone call. Just to be there with them and to help them and to show them that you really care about them. You don't not just going for the commission, that you really and truly care about your customers and that you really want to help them to get their dream home or whatever they're looking for. And I guess that's it for me. Just to be there for them. If they have a baby, a new baby, you send them something for the baby, stuff like that.
Yeah. I guess really quickly, something that I want to mention is sometimes the question can seem a little bit weird, right? Because at a certain point, right, if you're a professional, right, no matter what industry that you come from or whatever your background is, right, even not even just as a professional, but as a person, right, it's hard to tell you how to take a genuine interest in somebody else, right? But at the end of the day, that's really what it is that you're doing. Like you mentioned, right? If they have something special or important in their life, if they just had kids or a baby, right, to put focus on that, to make sure that they know that you understand what that's like or that you can appreciate that, right? At the end of the day, to give them that real interest and that real, I guess, attention, right? Not like you were mentioning, giving them that real attention, making sure that you're available for them as well. So no, that definitely makes a lot of sense. If anything, right, the parts that we can't share, right, are the parts that are kind of a matter of personality, right? If you're a real estate agent or if you're wanting to be a real estate agent, but you don't actually have that kind of genuine interest in other people, that's where it can be a little bit more difficult, right? That's where you can listen to all the podcasts and watch all the videos that you want, but if you can't really be excited about talking to your client base, there's not too much that these resources will do to help you.
But it basically comes down to the fact that you have to have a passion for what you do. You have to have a passion for it. And like I said, I love showing houses. I do. And I like people. I like interacting with people, and I like helping people. So people are difficult to deal with, as we all know. Not all of them are easygoing or whatever, but you just have to be at all times, no matter what, you have to be professional.
Exactly. Awesome. And actually, on that topic, I think that we are close to the end of our time here together. I do have maybe just two last quick questions for you. Our last one here for real estate agents, for any agents that are watching or listening that maybe aren't experiencing the level of success that they'd want to. Do you have any final tips? I know that we've gone over a handful, right? Choose the right brokerage, get the right level of support that you need, form the right connections, right? But do you have any last quick important tip that you want to leave any agents that are watching with?
Uh, I don't know. Just be yourself. Just, show your customers that you are there for them and that you really care. And I think I've said that already. But that's basically, as far as um, as far as I'm concerned, basically to show them that you really care about them and that if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer because you don't know everything. Maybe there's some realtors that know everything, God bless them, but I don't know everything. And the last thing you want to say to your customer is like, oh, I don't know, and leave it at that. I don't know, but I will find the answer for you because there's someone, whether it's your broker or someone else in your office will have that answer, and you can call them back and give them an answer to their question.
Awesome. Great. No, I really like that piece of advice. Like you mentioned, right? Be yourself. I would take it a step further in what you were mentioning, right? But also play to your strengths. Know what you're good at. Know what you're maybe not so good at, but can get help with, right? And use that to your advantage to make sure that when you're speaking to a client.
Yeah, never be too proud to say I don't know. And then, but you can say I don't know, but just don't leave it at I don't know. You go and you find the answers for them. That's the important thing.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, anytime that I'm able to encounter that with any professional that I work with, whether it's in real estate or anything outside of that, it shows a true commitment, right? Not just to say, I'm good at what I do, but for the things that I'm not good at, right? I can help you with those things also. I can get better at those things and I can do it for you, right? The client, whoever it is that is asking for that information. That's awesome. I really do like that perspective. And then really quickly, last question for you here, Alma. Do you have any last notes, anything that you'd want to mention to any prospects, whether there be buyer or sellers, potential buyers or sellers, thinking about working out there in the New York State area, specifically out there in the Westchester, Bronx, Long Island, or Queens counties? Any notes or any specific message to potential clients that might be listening?
Well, I would definitely, someone reaches out to me to get my services. My main objective would be to provide the best service I can. Be honest and fair, be loyal, and find the answers for you when I don't know them. I will go out and find your answers that whatever question you may ask me and I can't answer it, I will find the answer.
Awesome.
And
I mean, again,
I'll always treat people with fairness and honesty. That's my goal. That's what I do. That's me.
yeah.
I can't be anything else but that.
And it makes sense. I mean, even like you were mentioning, what it is that you do and you're intentional about, right? The value that you bring, it's amazing to be a real estate prospect, right? If I'm a buyer or a seller, right, and I'm able to encounter an agent like yourself that says, look, I will do what I need to do to make sure that you don't have questions. It's a powerful thing, right? Because I could ask questions about anything and everything, right? And you're saying, even though I don't have the answer, I will make sure that you get to where you want to go in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the perspective. And I think that really is the only way that you can have a successful real estate transaction is by finding the right kind of agent that will make sure that you don't have any questions. Alma, thank you so much for having joined us today for this episode of Meet the Agent. For our viewers and our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you do have any questions or suggestions for next episodes, don't ever hesitate to leave those in the comments. You can always like, share, and subscribe this content for more videos like this. Thanks again for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one.